Hi guys, it's Chloe from King's Crossing. Today I'm going to be working on a little bit of a Versailles garden build alongside a cafe. Let's go ahead and get started. So this build was definitely inspired by my trip to Paris in 2019. I saw the gardens at Versailles and we did end up having lunch, my family and I, at the cafe in the gardens. So while the overall size of the grounds at Versailles are pretty much impossible to recreate unless I made my whole island that, I wanted to get the general feeling of it on either side of the palace facade that I made. One thing I wanted to do is create a border of trees around most of the garden areas. And the reason that I did that is because I wanted it to feel like the grounds keep going the further that you go, and that there's actually more to be seen, even though there isn't really. And yeah, I definitely should have planted my trees back to front instead of front to back. These cedar trees that you see are from my Alps build that I worked on last time, and like I said, I ended up planting just way too many trees, so that's why you see me cutting them down now. One thing I really wanted was to make sure this space looked big and open so that it would recreate the feeling of some of the walkways in Versailles. And I'll go ahead and put a picture up of that right here. I felt so bad while I was doing this because the entire time Ellie was walking around with her little watering can, and she kept trying to water the flowers that I was digging up. So what I'm doing here is I'm just going ahead and I'm counting with my shovel the amount of squares that my path is. Now, you can also do this with custom designs. It's just a personal preference for me. But I'm doing this so I can find the center of this walkway and go ahead and set a fountain down right in that space. Now here what I'm trying to do is a trick that I do recommend even though it didn't work for me, which is you can lay any custom design with at least one translucent square on top of a regular in-game path, and then it'll show up on the map and it'll be rounded on the corners like what I had here. Unfortunately, this one that I chose didn't end up having a translucent square, but I ended up liking the way that it looked. So now I'm going ahead and I'm cutting out a lake around it because I noticed that there are quite a few large fountains around the grounds at Versailles, and I wanted to recreate the largesse of that. And yes, trying to work around the snow boy was annoying. I gotta give a huge shout out to, so many people for helping me with this video. But first, for these gold roses, Peter, thank you so much for breeding all these gold roses for me. I was having too much trouble doing it myself. But for those of you who don't know how to make a gold rose, if you take a hybrid rose by crossbreeding them, which is to say planting roses next to each other and getting a new color, one of the combinations that you can make is a black rose. Now, if you have black roses and you water them directly with a golden watering can, you can end up making these golden roses. Now, the one thing that's tricky is the golden roses don't propagate by themselves. But honestly, for me, who's always drowning in flowers, I kind of see that as a plus. And I have to thank both my mom and my friend Eamon for helping so much with getting these statues. One of the other ways that I got statues was from Nookazan. But if you've been watching multiple videos on my channel, you know at this point that I am absolutely obsessed with the statues in this game, and I really can't get enough of them. I'm just doing my little symmetry trick with the shovel again, and it really is helpful in making sure that you've got things right in the center where you want them. So I ended up changing my mind about what statues I wanted right here. I decided that if it was fully symmetrical like this, it would match what I was trying to recreate better. Then I'll put up another picture of the walkway that I was trying to incorporate here. So tip for anyone who's doing this, definitely make sure to put your fencing down first, because it's a pain in the butt to have to put it all back. I tried to keep everything yellow and orange just because there aren't actually a lot of flowers in the area I was trying to recreate, and so I wanted to create a monochromatic feel so it would feel closer to the original vision. I ended up struggling with making this symmetrical, so I went ahead and I pulled my pavement design that I have in front of the palace back one, all the way around, so that way I could line this other side with hedges as well. I figured that that would make it look more like a garden on both sides, regardless of which way you decided to walk. Now here's the other side that I had to work with. So it was absolutely chock full of flowers, but I went ahead and dug those up off camera because I figured that might get a little bit boring for you guys. So I had a tight space to work with here, and I wasn't really sure what I was going to do with it, since it's behind the museum and next to Versailles. I felt like I didn't want to make another cafe at first, because I do have a cafe near the shopping district of my island with the Able sisters and Nook's Cranny. But ultimately, I figured if any island is going to have more than one cafe, it would be a French-themed island. So you can see that I kind of already decorated this area off camera, and the reason that I cut that out is because I decided the entire thing needed pavement. So you'll watch, I'm putting stuff down and then replacing it with this more brick-like terracotta-y pavement. It just felt right for the space that I was in, and I decided that it would make it feel more like a restaurant. included these trees here for the same reason as the other side. I wanted it to feel like this cafe was tucked into the grounds, and if you were to keep walking back, you'd be entering maybe a hunting forest or another beautiful area with gardens. I wanted it to remain a mystery, even though this is the back of my island. I'll go ahead and put up one more picture here. This was the cafe that I was inspired by. I will say the cafe I ended up making had a lot more elements of orange and yellows than the one that I was interested in. But ultimately, I think that including the orange and yellow pieces made a more cohesive overall look given the items I have in game. So, without further ado, here's our reveal. I am so excited that spring came because I feel like it 100% transformed the space that I made into something completely different and something that I think is even better. All right, that's all for this time. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next week with another video. Thanks so much.